Someone wrote in and said, how do I navigate consent violations in a group? And what about accusations for spaces where I might be in a facilitation role or even brave enough to step into one when no one else can or will? I'm here with Reid Mahako from readaboutsex.com and Sex Geek Summer Camp. I can't talk. Apparently,
Cathy needs food. We're shooting these videos and we haven't eaten dinner yet.
It's like 10:30.
Yeah.
And he has the green Sex Geek shirt on. And I'm Cathy virtually from intimacydojo.com. It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
How would you
remember
answer it?
One, I think it's really good to have a group consensus on how consent violations might be handled. I'm a big fan of having it be as openly discussed as possible for the people that are directly involved as possible. I don't know that sometimes third hand or peripheral people need to be involved, at least unless it's a big violation that involved a lot of people. Because sometimes it gets to be a gossip and sides being taken. Mm-hmm. So I like to solve it if everyone's a yes, to get the people directly involved in a room to talk if they're willing to. Not everybody's willing to. Not everybody's even willing to have their name mentioned as having reported that. So that makes it a little more challenging. Yeah,
I mean, this is a complex. It's not a quick or easy solution. Mm-hmm. What is, in my experience, working in a lot of different communities, and being somebody who throws play parties and group sexual experiences in different communities, the thing that gets overlooked is, hey, how are we going to handle consent violations if they happen, or a consent accident, or a mistake, or an intentional predatory violation? Most communities don't have those protocols built into their communities, and what they're well-meaning, because sometimes you don't know what's missing until it appears that it's missing. You're just hoping nothing bad happens. So, having a conversation in your community about how violations and accidents and intentional abuses or misuses of power or privilege or consent, how those things get handled, that can be really useful to start setting the foundation for how things are going to happen. If you don't have those protocols in place and you start those conversations, don't be surprised if in starting those conversations you're going to have people come forward to share things that have already happened before you have the protocols in place. And that's going to make it really tricky, because you have a community that hasn't been trained or isn't in agreement with how to proceed when things happen. And I'm just letting you know, if you're in a community that has had nobody speak up, that is not a guarantee that there have been no violations.
People may not feel safe or even know who to talk to.
So it's the beginning of a process of building that stuff in. When things happen or people come forward, these are the simple things I'll tell you that I think are good practices. Believe the people that come forward, regardless of what you feel about the situation. Believe them. Odds are they're telling the truth, or something happened that was off. The odds are in that favor, that what they're saying is something that's true. So the idea of being like, well, people can be lying. Yes, it's possible that people could be lying. Mm-hmm. It's possible that people could have misunderstood the situation. However, what you do have is an opportunity to leave people feeling seen and heard, who feel like something went wrong or went awry. The second thing is, center the conversation around the person who's coming forward. You want to keep the conversation victim-centered. This will be tricky, and there will be people who think that it shouldn't be victim-centered, but it also shouldn't be centered on the whatever word you want to give the other person, right? the abuser or whatnot. There's a larger conversation about in different kind of communities about, you know, how to handle transformational justice, like looking.
I'm going to leave a link below on the Intimacy Dojo. You can sign up for a talk that Dr. Liz and Lola and I gave, and one on Heather gave as well, Heather Elizabeth, on that with some resources for social justice in the community.
So there are some, like Star Trek, there's some warp drive technologies out there around handling, you know, consent violations and abuses of power. And odds are your community is not ready for that level of technology, and that has to be like introduced to a community. So the quick things are believe people when they come forward, center the needs of the how you handle a situation on the victims or the survivors or whatever words are appropriate there. And then the other thing that I would advocate for, because this is a common mistake, most complaints will come to you in the beginning and they will be years old. Treat them as if they are fresh and new. Whenever somebody comes forward with a complaint, treat it as if it's like, and just say, thank you so much for coming forward. Please tell me more. Never, ever say, why didn't you tell us sooner? That is not,
Shaming
it doesn't
someone for not feeling safe.
It doesn't matter why they didn't come forward sooner. And it actually doesn't matter. And if you steep yourself in rape culture and other forms of geekery around consent violations, there's lots of amazing reasons why they didn't fucking come forward sooner, but you're lucky that they're coming forward now. So thank them and ask them to tell you more.
I love using could you tell me more? Sometimes people use very general words. If they're uncomfortable, they won't be very specific, and we may think we know what they mean, but if they're comfortable telling you more details or giving you more explanation, not that they have to explain what happened, but just to help you understand, you may find that some words that they used may not mean what you thought. They may not mean the same thing to them as they mean to you.
And tell me more then should be followed up with how can I support you, or what can I do for you next? Where people get tripped up is this person's telling me, and now I'm going to ask all these questions because I need to be absolutely clear on everything and how it happened.
It's not an interrogation.
That person may not have the bandwidth. So when it's like, please tell me more, you know, it's really the tell me whatever you have bandwidth for. Like, thank you for telling me, and like, what else would you like to tell me, and how can I support you? It's not a, now that you've brought this to me, you must now satisfy my needs for knowing. And this is what's so tricky, because you're going to want to understand, and it's not about understanding. It's not. So be okay with that. You may never understand. Center what their needs are, thank them, and then geek out on other stuff. But like, I can't Vulcan mind meld everything for you in this video.
Yeah, but hopefully this give you a place to start. And I think it's a great question. Really appreciate that you're asking it and bringing up this conversation.
Thank you.
Please leave comments below. What's worked for you?